All right, I'm here to help you with activity 2 if you're having issues with it. So it says Dr. Young told Jessie that she needed evidence to support her claim. When Jessie examined the contents of the container more closely, she realized that sulfur was not the only substance in the container. A colorless gas was also inside the container. Jessie moved this gas into a different container and tested it. She identified it as hydrogen chloride. So if you take a look at the picture, we had the container that we added chlorine to, which was made of all chlorine atoms, and we ended up with, after the chemical reaction, with sulfur and hydrogen chloride. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the token modeling tool to build the two products over here. And then we're going to try to determine whether or not the container was actually empty before Jessie added the chlorine. Okay, so the token tool is found here. Oops, sorry, it's found here. So I'm going to open up the model tokening tool. And we're going to make the products that we saw. So it was sulfur. So I'm going to go into the sorting tool and I'm going to take a sulfur atom and hydrogen chloride. And we had two molecules of hydrogen chloride. So a white and a green put together. All right, so we know for sure that we had two green atoms on the other side. Okay, so I'm going to move these over. And this gives me evidence that there must have been something else in the container because we've learned that atoms can't be created or destroyed. So if they were in the product, they had to be reactants also. So these had to be over here somewhere in some shape and form. We'll look at that in the next page. But when we go back and we think about the answers to these questions, there's not really anything that we have to answer in this particular activity. But was the container empty before Jessie added the chlorine? I would say no, and it's because there were other atoms that seemed to already be there. Could the chlorine have changed into sulfur? Okay, we've learned that there's no way that you can change one type of atom into another atom. So I would also say no. And could the chlorine have changed into hydrogen chloride? Okay, my answer would be yes, it could. Okay, but it would take these two hydrogens to come together and rearrange with these two chlorines for that to happen. So I'm going to reset this and we're going to go on to page 2. In page 2, we've decided that the container was not empty when Jessie added the chlorine gas. So what was inside it? Below is an image showing the reaction inside the container. There's also a table that lists some of the substances that Dr. Young keeps in her lab. The group of atoms that repeat to form each substance, as well as some of the properties of each substance, are included in the table. So we're going to use those tokens again to do kind of what we just did. So I maybe shouldn't have got rid of all the things I did, but that's okay. Okay, we had sulfur, we had hydrogen chloride, and this is, I'm basically rebuilding what we just did. We know we started, if we go back, with chlorine. So I'm kind of working backwards. I know that the two chlorine atoms were probably together as reactants, and in some shape and form, I had a sulfur atom together with two hydrogens. So all I really need to do is go back and kind of take a look at what Dr. Young had in her lab. And I see right here that there's two hydrogens with a sulfur, exactly what I have here. Okay, I'm going to double check to make sure that that's a colorless gas, which it is. So it may have looked to Jessie like it was empty, that container, but it really had hydrogen sulfide gas in it. So if I kind of scroll down a little bit, the other reactant inside the container, I would say is hydrogen sulfide. And the reason I would say it's hydrogen sulfide is because hydrogen sulfide includes sulfur and hydrogen atoms, the two types of atoms that could rearrange with chlorine to form the products that Jessie identified. Hydrogen sulfide's a colorless gas, so it's possible that Jessie thought the container was empty because she couldn't see that gas inside. If you look up, if she would have smelled inside, which you're really not supposed to do, but if it smells strongly like rotten eggs, that probably would have given her a clue that that was not an empty container. So hopefully this helped. You can go back and pause the video at any time, and then you can go on to activity 4. We're skipping activity 3 today.